The Long Walk Home. Loved it.
Oh, I mean, excellent.
Loved it.
Excellent movie. Who'd have thought?
Oh my God, never would have watched it if not for AI.
Never would have watched it. Never would have heard of it. Maybe if not for AI.
Possibly never would have heard of it.
Which is crazy. And right off the bat, let me just ask you this. Is you and I are the right team to be analyzing the contents of this movie?
Well, we're the same color as the writer and director of the film.
Okay. Can we start there? Let me just the opening credits of this movie.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. First of all,
so exciting.
The director, who is Richard Pierce, he directed a lot of Law and Order, Trial by Jury.
Okay.
It's like a TV director.
Sure. Well, he did a great job. I thought it was a great movie.
Written by a man named John Cork.
John Cork.
He's done some stuff.
White as snow.
Then I see cinematography by Roger Deakins, who is like one of the goats. This guy did No Country for Old Men.
And did it
Blade
look good
Runner?
or did it fucking look good?
It looked phenomenal. So, a lot of talent popped up in the opening credits of this movie of extremely white men.
Oh.
And that was...
Well, and then it pops up narrated by Mary Steenburgen. And I was like, wait, I thought this was about Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, man. I do want to jump in on Mary Steenburgen.
Yes.
Oof. Well, I do want to jump in on this.
I know you want to jump all over Mary Steenburgen.
Mary Steenburgen is an enduring crush that'll never end. We have long said that one of our big goals in life is to go to a Mary Steenburgen Ted Danson party.
Yes.
Because apparently they throw the best parties in Hollywood. But honestly, having her as the narrator of this movie, A, strange choice. B, a waste. A waste to not have that woman on camera every chance you get.
She did a great job.
But she did do a great job.
Just her voice in this
film. She did. Give me some setup to this movie.
So this film stars Sissy Spacek.
Yeah.
As a 1955 housewife. She is married. She's got 2 daughters.
They're in Montgomery, Alabama.
And she has a maid, played by Whoopi Goldberg, named Odessa. Of course, it's 1955 Montgomery, Alabama. Heavy segregation, horrible times. And this is the period of time when Martin Luther King Jr. called for the Montgomery Bus Boycott.
Yeah.
And I was really excited because right at the beginning of the movie, they read a little newspaper article about Rosa Parks refusing to sit on the back of the bus. And they mentioned Claudette Colvin, who is the first Black woman to refuse to sit at the back of the bus.
Yeah.
But she never really got her name used a lot because she was unmarried and pregnant. And, they felt that would not make the movement look good.
Right.
So they waited for a respectable older woman to do it and kind of become the face of that or whatever.
And so we're seeing Odessa's family. Whoopi's husband is played by Ving Rhames, Herbert.
Rhames, awesome.
Fantastic
so good.
In this movie also.
Handsome.
Yeah,
Handsome.
He's doing great.
And her daughter...
is Erica Alexander. Maxine from Living Single, who was my first TV crush.
One of my first crushes as well. I love Maxine.
Whew. So anyway, they've gotten the letter. There's a letter going around in the Black community saying, hey, Rosa Parks just got arrested for refusing to give up her seat. And we're all going to do something about this. We're going to stop taking the bus. Yeah. So that's sort of what is the catalyst for this movie, for the Montgomery Bus Boycott and this movie, which is fiction. These characters weren't historically accurate. The main characters we're following in the movie, but the world they are in is
very real.
From what little I know, and the very, very brief, just quick thing on my phone where I was like, is this movie based on a true story? Someone said that a lot of the background facts are accurate. So don't hold me to that. I have not done the research yet, but we're just going to go with assuming that this movie didn't lie to us too much.
Yeah. I'll say I really thought it was a great choice to kind of have 2 just people in the middle. We have our Odessa in the Black community. We have Sissy Spacek, Miriam Thompson in the white community, kind of grappling with all the shittiest people in the world. And she's slightly less shitty. So she's like, oh, I don't know.
Well, don't you see? She went to Portland, Oregon once.
Oh,
and
that's right.
She saw a mixed-use pool where there was people of color and white people in the same swimming pool, and it changed her life.
She said nobody seemed like they were any different.
Yeah.
Well, when they were swimming together, it didn't seem to matter. And I realized, wow, it doesn't fucking matter. Right. Turns out it fucking doesn't matter. But no, I was just excited to hear Claudette Colvin. They don't, you just don't, that usually gets skipped over. So it was really cool that it was part of it. I think I believed more that it was historically accurate because the facts were almost background.
Yeah.
Like it was so real in terms of how it would feel to live in that time where it was definitely on the news. Everyone's talking about it. But you're also like, every day is going on. You still have to go to work.
Yeah.
You still have to feed your family. You're still fighting with your husband. Whatever the deal is. And it just felt very real, I guess. It just felt like a very sincere, exactly how it must have felt.
Puts you there without putting you next to an icon, someone that's like sort of unrelatable because they're a legend from history. I kind of am experiencing what it might have been like to just be a normal ass person in this world, which is who I would have been if I'd been back then.
And it was so powerful because no one's looking at you.
Yeah.
Like Selma, the daughter.
Yeah.
She has a bit of a slip.
Right.
And she rides the bus during the boycott. And tries to take the bus because she wants to go to a party or something. It's like for kind of a frivolous reason. But it was very real. Like it's like you're not an icon. You're not setting an example for anybody. You're just a person. So she's like, I can get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just regular people having to kind of go, how good and how strongly do I want to stand?
Part of that same sentiment is just being given the literal actual sacrifice. Like the bus boycott was not just like, well, I'm not taking the bus. Here we're seeing real people living their day-to-day lives and how hard that was for them to do something that mattered. And I think at least you and I, and we're podcasters and artists. Like, it's not like we're living large, but we are also very comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to give up comfort when you know that you need to in order to make life better.
Yeah.
I think that as a general rule, I think that we today are very hesitant to give up the comforts that we have to fight for something that's more important.
Well, and it was like, they kept talking about the bus boycott like it was some trivial stuff. Like it was like, it's just riding the bus, like whatever. All the white people said this in the movie in the wrong way, but it was like, but it wasn't just that. It was literally like, it is meant to be a domino tipping and saying like, none of this is just or right.
Yeah.
And it all needs to be examined. And so if you let that seem like it's just a bus ride and it's not that big of a deal and you end that boycott too soon or people aren't as strong, don't hold the line. You know what I mean? It does make it seem like it's just about the bus.
Right.
Instead of like, no, look what we're willing to go through.
Right.
Look how much we're willing to do. And I kind of loved that they didn't really horn in on it or anything, but I felt it really strongly that Whoopi Goldberg, Odessa, has been walking to and from work every single day.
Yeah.
Clearly, they never say how long her walk home is.
It's long.
But it is a long one.
I can tell you it's a long one.
And she's like bleeding from the feet and stuff.
Yeah.
And to know that her kid busted that boycott just to go to a party.
Right.
Like for such a small reason too. Like I said, it's relatable, but it's also like you could see how much she felt that, the daughter, and how much Odessa felt that. And they never had to say a word.
Right.
Like she just knew. She's like, you knew you didn't want me to know because that's exactly how I'd feel. And I didn't even have to say a word about it.
Well, let's get to it. Let's go through the story a little bit here and get some context. We've set up what it's sort of about and some of the general characters. One of the first things, one of the really trigger points, I think, at the beginning of this movie that sort of just establishes where everyone's at is Odessa bringing Miriam's children to the park. And it's a park that's segregated. It's meant to be whites only in this park. And a police officer comes up and really yells at Whoopi Goldberg and tells her to get out of here. I don't care whose kids you're watching. And Sissy Spacek makes a phone call to the commissioner.
That's right.
And that policeman comes and apologizes straight to Odessa.
To Odessa.
Yes. But as Whoopi's friend points out later, that policeman wasn't apologizing to you. He was apologizing to the white lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like a good signal that like Sissy Spacek is a little bit different. Like she was like, that was not cool.
Yeah.
I felt some type of way about that. And I'm about to exercise my power, my little bit of power in the world to make that a little bit righter for her. And of course, like her whole basis for the call, the reason she gave was like, he kicked my kids out of the park.
Yes.
He did it to me and my white children, not really about Odessa at all. But it was still a good way to kind of establish like she's a little bit not quite as heinous as everyone else she's hanging out with. A little bit different. She gets a lot of flack for it, too.
Oh, yeah, she does. She stands up and says, I'm one of the good ones.
I mean, listen.
There's a little bit of that in her character in here. But I think they also acknowledge that there's a little bit of that in her character.
Well, it's fun you say that because I thought a lot about one of the good ones during this movie, period. Because even Whoopi is like, oh, she's not as bad as most white women. You know, she's one of the good ones. Yeah. And then Sissy says it about her husband basically later.
Yeah.
He's one of the good ones, too, in terms of a white man. So it's like he also sucked. Like her husband sucked.
Yeah.
And I was like,
low bar.
The bar is in the grave. The bar is
way underground.
6 feet under.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so upsetting.
You got to spelunk to get under that bar.
There are demon creatures hanging with the bar. Like from The Descent looking, cave dwelling, hanging with the bar. But yeah, so I was thinking about that a lot because I was like, I guess he kind of was a good example of a husband to her in that time period. But I don't know. It was still like, ugh.
God, I can't wait to talk about him.
I know.
I do want to say, no, just on this same note, there's a party scene very early on. A lot of parties. The white family is always having all these people over for dinner, which of course, Odessa and the other maid are always, making all their dinners for them. Their family is full of horrible racist people, right? Sissy Spacek's mom is there and she's the worst of the bunch. God. Sissy Spacek, she's defending herself. Mm-hmm. She says, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. Mm-hmm. And, okay, well, good for you. The 2 lines before that, what she said was, well, it's not like she was parading her own children around the park. I like to think that it was very intentional at showing that she just said something pretty racist. Like, well, it's okay because she had my kids. It's not like she had black children in the park. Like, that would have been understandable for the police to come yell at her.
Right.
Then immediately she's like, I did the right thing by telling that police officer to come and apologize. So it's like, victim of her time and circumstances and all that. She's gonna get a lot of stuff really wrong, even when she's trying to be right. And I thought that line was really telling in that regard.
I thought her character was interesting because she was always doing that. Like she was, she had so many moments of white justification for everything. She's like, well, okay, I don't care about a bus boycott, but I care about my maid and I want her to be at my house cleaning. And she was just telling her friends that, but we know she felt more strongly about Odessa than she was willing to admit to these white people.
Yeah.
So it's like what she said to the white people and like how she really felt. And then, of course, what she would say to Odessa was like so widely, gulfly different. Like I was like, your brain is all of this.
No. She says, look, I played both sides. That way, I always come out on top. Well, I don't know. I guess in this case, she did not. She picked her Ultimately,
side.
She did pick a side. Yeah.
But I thought that was something that this movie did well. Was it was just kind of showing that all the sacrifice, all the hard stuff was really being done by the Black community. They had every disadvantage in this bus boycott.
Yeah.
And people treated them like shit.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Sissy Spacek is very comfortable in her nice house, with her nice family. She's got really nothing to worry about. But she's warring with her own sense of morality. Yeah. And she's like, everyone around me is telling me how wrong I am. And instinctually, I know I'm not. Yeah. I simply cannot deny it. And that kind of struggle in your own community, even though you're so comfortable, it's just a different struggle.
And undeniable, too, that she is also experiencing life as a woman, a wife in the 50s. Yes. So that she's always being told that her thoughts are wrong or that she's being told how to think and how to behave. So, on top of her instincts saying, wait, I think I'm a better person than this. She's also, her instincts are telling her, wait, I think I'm a human being and everyone around me is telling me I'm not.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Mr. Thompson's brother, so Sissy Spacek's brother-in-law, Tucker, he was played by Dylan Baker, who, if you saw or heard our episode on The Cell, Dylan Baker was the head scientist of the Twizzler Patrol.
That's right.
Who I think I might have met in a bar in New York when my friend Mo introduced me to an actor who might have been him. We've done 3 movies on this podcast so far, and 2 of them feature Dylan Baker.
Dylan Baker.
So far, he's the star of AI Made Us Watch.
Star of AI Made Us Watch. Dylan Baker alert.
Apparently, AI picks a Dylan Baker movie 66% of the time.
So far,
the data says.
No lie.
He is great at being the fucking worst.
Oh, I wanted to punch
in this
him
movie.
so many. Like, I was like, wind up punch. Like, I wanted to get him so hard and
oh my
God. Sorry, go ahead. You go.
Okay, so I want to talk about Odessa's family.
Yeah.
Because there's one of the great things this movie does is the difference when they cut back and forth between Sissy Spacek's home and Odessa's home. At the Thompsons' house, the family is always there, large family gathering, and they're kind of nasty to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, there's always just something in the air that's just like, yeah, let's be shitty. You go to Odessa's house, and between her and Herbert and their 3 kids, it's almost always just full of love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real love. I mean, the kids bicker and they tease each other and they fight and they're all this, and the daughter can't cook and all this stuff. But it's just like such a warm environment. And I just love that contrast popping up over and over again.
On your note about gendered life, I did have a ping for Ving. I got a little mad just for a little second when Odessa's walking home and she's like, I'm just going to have to figure something out because I can't be getting home so late that I don't do the cooking or the cleaning or whatever. And I'm like,
oh man.
Like Ving can't open a can of beans. Like, come on.
That's true.
But overall, he was a great husband. Such a sweetie pie.
One of the big contrasts between the two houses was Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
We get to Christmas Day. We see at the Thompsons' house, they come down Christmas morning, and it is just the living room is stacked.
I have never seen presents like this.
Just filling the room. And then we go to Odessa's.
Yes, and she is, of course, getting up at the crack of dawn, not to wrap a bunch of gifts for her kids so that they can believe in Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
She has to walk to work at the Thompsons on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So she's leaving these tiny little packages, one each, in her kids' stockings.
In the stockings, yeah. Little boxes.
Little boxes. And then she has a 4th box, and it's for Mary Catherine, Mary
daughter.
Steenburgen's
young child
character.
Yeah.
Never get to find out what's in it. Felt like a real Chekhov's gun situation where I was like, you don't get to have a gift and not show me what it is.
I'll tell you what, I felt it was more like Pulp Fiction or something. I was like,
okay.
there's no gift in that box that will be the right thing to make this moment feel magical. There's love in that box.
That's all that matters.
And that's all that matters.
That's true. She
and
thought
if we see it, it'll be disappointing.
Money or time on her employer's kid. Yeah. And that was definitely a turning point for Sissy Spacek's character. Is Odessa gets there and she wants to give Mary Catherine her gift, but Mary Catherine has just had this insane Christmas morning.
Oh yeah, she got like Apple Vision Pro goggles.
She did. She got it all.
PlayStation 12.
She got it all.
That's nice.
And she comes running up to Odessa, like showing her this fancy doll she got, and Odessa, I guess, feels embarrassed about her small gift, so she just kind of slides it in her apron pocket, doesn't give it to Mary Catherine. Mrs. Thompson finds it later and is so touched that Odessa would think of her daughter on Christmas. And she goes back to look at all their photo albums, and every picture of Mary Catherine, guess who's there?
Yeah.
Odessa's there because she's worked for them for 9 years.
And I didn't even think that. I thought she was looking at pictures of herself as a child being raised by a black maid. Because she said she grew up with a black maid as well. I was getting the impression that she was like, holy shit, my entire life, black people have been very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be who I am without their influence and the people who raised me. And
that makes a lot of sense.
You know, like
that she would wonder, like, I wonder if she felt that way about me, and I never I didn't realize that she was like capable of feeling that way, maybe, or that she would ever feel that way about a kid she took care of for money. She definitely saw proof that Odessa has like real love feelings for this child. Like, I'm mothering this kid all the time.
Yep.
I love this kid. And that was like, oh shit, all right.
Miriam's mother says the shittiest thing. She's so awful. And she's like, they want to, and of course their language is very racist. She says they want too much and they're not willing to work for it. Right as Odessa is feeding them fucking dinner.
Okay.
And so Odessa just walks right up and says, would you like a biscuit, Mrs. Thompson? Puts it right in her face. And she's like, well, no, and I don't care who hears me say it. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
And I'm like,
I don't care who
and I was like, I would have taken that biscuit tray and just wham,
Bitch.
wham, wham.
I would have taken that hair. I would have snatched. I would have pulled.
It's so funny because the next scene with Whoopi's talking to her friend, and she says, her friend says, I would have taken that biscuit tray.
She sure does say that.
It's like, yes.
We were like, yes,
I know that's right.
I was on the same page, lady.
Mr. Thompson's like kind of trying to be all right at this point. He's like, they're boycotting, let them do their thing. You know, I say let them sit wherever they want. Who cares? Let's just get past this silliness.
That's what his feeling was, that if they ignored it and they were like, wherever you want to sit, whatever.
Yeah.
It would just peter out on its own.
Yeah.
And they would stay in their place.
Yep.
His younger brother is telling him, you got to stay strong, whatever. He's getting completely feeling emasculated probably, or some whatever. At this point, it's earlier on, the boycott. People haven't gotten that mad yet. So he's still like, whatever, let it go. He's the one who's kind of like weather vane style.
Yeah.
I'm playing both sides until I know which way to turn. And the more powerful personality, his younger brother and all these racists he knew, pulled him in the direction.
His brother starts talking to him about like, oh, well, what's going to happen to this city if you give in now? Yeah. We got to fight this bus boycott because the next thing you know, they'll be going to the same schools. They'll be moving to your neighborhood. It's like, all the worst things a person can say. And we're saying a lot back then. And sadly, some still saying now. So he was truly worthy of a biscuit tray to the head as well.
Ooh.
But then Odessa goes home for Christmas.
Odessa goes home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And she walks in the door.
Oh.
And it's looking like the family is being real crazy.
They're just chilling. They got to go to church. She knows they got to go to church.
It's Christmas
Eve.
They're very church people. They're in the church. They go to church a lot. Ving and the youngest son playing checkers or something.
Yeah.
The other kid's not ready yet. The daughter's not ready yet. We got to go. Y'all just sitting around. And he goes, well, I don't think you look ready yet. I was like, I'm about to biscuit tray Ving. And then the little kid goes, you just don't look ready, Mom. It's like, all of y'all. I was like, shit, y'all didn't know about her day.
She reaches into her purse. She pulls out a biscuit tray. She's like, I'm coming for you.
Like, somebody's got to get this biscuit tray to the face.
But
they just wanted to surprise her with a brand new pair of shoes and a beautiful, pink overcoat, like a new coat for her, because she had been walking in these shoes that were so uncomfortable.
Big
keep up with
so
this
far.
Boycott is that she has these insane blisters. Her feet hurt all the time.
Yeah. It's a long walk.
Long walk home.
Yeah.
It's a long walk there and a long walk back.
Yeah, they didn't even mention the long walk there in the title.
I was like, it was almost all the conflict was about her getting to work. Nobody cared about her getting home.
The movie should have been called Long Walk Round Trip.
The long round trip walk. I guess that doesn't trip off the tongue.
Doesn't quite.
Anyway, but yeah, so it was actually like a beautiful Christmas surprise.
I was
and
like tearing up.
So cute.
They gave that dress and go.
And can I just say something?
Okay, yeah.
Because this was a scene that really made me think of it.
Yeah.
Last time when we got the movie, we joked about if it had been a mute character, it would have been a real waste of Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh my God.
You don't cast Whoopi and don't let her talk. But actually, this character did not speak a lot. She, in her quietness, she said a lot. And this was one of those moments where she never said thank you. She didn't even say anything. She was just so overcome. Her whole family could tell how much it meant to her.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was like, man, she really nailed it. Like, her performance was subtle and really beautiful.
I wrote down at one point, I was like, for all the Theodore Rexes out there, which if you don't know, Whoopi Goldberg and Theodore Rex, it's where she's hanging out with like a streetwise dinosaur. It's a real cheesy 80s movie.
No.
Early 90s maybe with like graffiti dinosaurs, like super cool on a skateboard or something. I don't know. Maybe AI will make us watch that one day.
I kind of hope it does.
For all those, Whoopi has done some really good work in her career. And she is a really talented actress.
Yeah.
And this really, I felt like showed that.
Yeah, for sure.
This scene to me, okay, so it felt like it was right in the middle of the movie, and it really felt core to the movie. Her coming home, getting this dress, this family just being in the best and the most, and it's such a joyful moment. And so last night I went to a reading, or a live podcast recording, actually, of our friends Mark Kendall and David Perdue do a show called What's Good Atlanta on WABE, which is the Atlanta NPR affiliate. And it's an awesome little 10 to 20 minute podcast about good things that are happening in Atlanta. So it's feel-good stuff.
Who doesn't need that?
Mark Hendel and David Perdue, also two of the funniest comedians Atlanta has to offer.
Very kind people as well.
Just wonderful people. At the show, Mark had a hoodie on that said, "Black joy is revolutionary." And I've seen this before, but I clocked it at the show, and it just popped into my head during this scene. After Odessa had like the worst day doing Christmas for this white family, hearing all that bullshit from that family, like they said the worst things right next to her, like she wasn't even there. And then when they knew she was there, right to her face.
That's right.
And then she had to walk all the way home in her bad shoes with her bad feet. I mean, I've never had a day that bad, and that was just one of her regular days.
That's right.
She gets home, and there is all this joy in this house. And I thought of that expression. I thought of that Black joy is revolutionary, and I was like, of course. This must, as well as I can understand it, this must be the kind of thing that's talking about. It's like, despite what this world keeps throwing, to be joyful is defiant, right? And that was, I don't know, that just hit me really hard in this scene. I thought it was just such a beautiful moment to be like, damn, I feel like I would just be wagging my finger, storming, like, I'm so mad. Fuck, a dress, thanks a lot. Well, you wait till you hear the day that I had, because it's just so easy to bitch.
Yeah.
But instead, it was like the most joyful little Christmas that anyone in this movie had. It was the nicest moment in the movie, and it was just them at home.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. And it was like the thing that makes it worth it.
Yeah.
All the walking.
Yeah.
She even says it, I think, on the start of her walk home from that horrible day. And she's like, I would walk until my legs were gone if it meant a better future for my kids.
Yep.
And got home to see the evidence of those good people that she was raising and all of, just the reason you're doing all that stuff.
God.
It's so real. And I thought that was the real core of this too, was how strong your family is, how much it gets you through it, because the Thompsons were not very strong family. No. And her husband was a dick. He was always like, don't tell me what to do in my house. And really talking down to her in a way that Ving Rhames never did to Odessa.
Nope.
Horrible people.
Really wretched.
Horrible. And then he's like, oh, come on, Norman, to my little clubhouse. It's nothing like the Klan. You don't have to wear any weird robes or have a secret code.
Oh, my God. Okay. So Tucker brings his brother Norman, Mr. Thompson, to a little rally that they're having.
Citizens
Council to push back against this boycott business with the buses.
Because they care about what happens to their city.
This is where his character became really fascinating to me, the husband. Because to me, this is such an example of this very modern term, but this like male fragility, right? His biggest fear was that his own community would ostracize him or mock him because maybe he let his wife give their maid a ride so that she could boycott the bus.
Work. Yeah.
He even though we'd seen him earlier, as we talked about, kind of have a weather vane opinion about it. It's just like, yeah, whatever. What am I going to get too invested about? He could have kept that attitude and been fine. But his brother and his buddies form a team. And they're like, you're either on this team or you're not. And if you're not on this team, we're going to mock you mercilessly. We're going to make fun of you. And it's this, I know it's older than America, probably as old as time, but people seeing kindness as weakness is such a weapon, right? And it allows cruel people to bully people who might otherwise be good into being bad.
Right.
His character was that personified. Just this guy who was very weak because he was very scared of looking a certain way in front of his friends. Ridiculous. Instead of having any conviction, standing up for yourself and for other people.
That was kind of the central conflict for a little second there, was that with the bus boycott, Odessa's walking. She's late to work sometimes. Sissy Spacek's like, that's so annoying for me. Okay, I have to go to this market near your house twice a week.
Yeah.
I'll pick you up. on those days and I'll bring you to work. Okay, that's fine. But you'll have to find your own way home. But she's so scared for Norman to find out. Even before he has gone to this meeting or picked his side or anything, she is really nervous about him. She tells Mary Catherine not to mention it.
Don't say anything.
She said, don't say nothing to your father about this. And then when he asks Odessa how she's getting to work, Sissy Spacek kind of pops her head in the kitchen. She's like looking at Odessa like, don't say nothing. And so Odessa doesn't say anything. And she's like, oh, what a relief. And like walks off.
Right.
Oh, man. Like you could tell she was really scared of what Norman was going to say. Yeah. And she was right to, because he was really angry about it. Like stupidly angry about it. So even before he had made a decision, she knew who he was.
And she talks about their individual histories, right? We kind of teased earlier about how Miriam has traveled the states, so she's been to non-segregated areas. So now she's enlightened a little bit.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Which is
fair, I think. And I kind of tease her for it, but I don't think it's. I mean, she did. Travel is very important to expanding your horizons and becoming a better person. I do believe that. But then as you're saying, he hasn't. He grew up in a segregated area, so she does kind of apologize for him a little bit. Not necessarily apologizing, but
it was
justifying maybe his behavior a little bit.
That was more that white justification I was talking about. Like that whole scene, she is so busy defending her husband to Whoopi Goldberg. Yes. She's telling Odessa, he really is, he's one of the good ones. He's a good provider, he's a good husband. Yep. He just doesn't know any better. He's, I'm different but he grew up segregated. But then she even mentions later that he was in the war. Yeah. Which certainly he would have been working with people and in the trenches with people that were not white. Yeah. And she was like, he acts like he's seen so much and knows so much, but I'm starting to feel like he didn't learn nothing. Yeah. He had the travel too. He just wasn't a good enough or a strong enough conviction person to actually take the lesson and live that truth. And she was trying really hard not to be too. Like that was something she's trying to find a way to have it all. I mean, that was a bit of a joke, but she wants to keep her standing in the community. She wants to keep her fancy house and her nice husband and everything and not feel like a piece of shit.
You see it cracking through, though, I think, with her at times because going back to, again, how Norman's friends really, as soon as they get him amped up, he's like, I'm on your, okay, let's do this. Sissy Spacek didn't seem to like her friends very much. No, and they were all very ready to be like, well, I can't believe you're taking your maid to work. You're part of the problem, one of her friends told her. Mm-hmm. And she didn't do what Norman did.
That's true.
She kind of was like, well, sorry. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. She's like, I still need someone to do my dishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing them. And then she did do them later, which is cool. She did do them later, so Odessa wouldn't have to.
And to that point, Norman eventually finds out that his wife has been giving their maid a ride, and he is very upset about it.
He like jumps out of bed. How dare you? Man of the house situation. You call her right now and tell her. It's like pouring rain, by the way. This is like the first day it's rained, I guess, in a while. Pouring rain. Yep. And she's like, well, I'm going to just get her. It's fine. And he's like, call her right now. You do it, damn it. And like gets all upset. So she has to call Odessa and be like, sorry, you have to walk. Yeah. Obviously, Odessa shows up soaking wet. Sissy Spacek's character is crying. She's like crying in the bathroom. Yeah. And I hated that fucking talk he gave her on the bed. The husband comes in and says, can we talk? And he's like all quiet and reasonable and telling her, I know you know better and that you wouldn't. But when people see you do it, it really reflects poorly on whatever. Like he was just, that was another time I was like, get me that biscuit tray.
You really just, so many people needed a biscuit tray in this movie.
Damn.
So Miriam does tell Odessa, like, I can't drive you anymore. And Odessa says, all right, well, I'm sorry. I like working for you, but I got to quit. Mm-hmm. I can't do this. And I need to get another job that's closer to home or where I can get a ride, whatever. Mm-hmm. I got to take care of my kids. I got to take care of my family.
Sissy Spacek really gave voice to the 1955 housewife as well in this line where she says, I decided to live with Norman a long time ago. Oof. And part of that means living the way he lives. Mm. And I was like, a lot of people did feel that way about marriage. Your husband chooses your politics. He chooses just the opinions of your household. Yeah. And it's not for you to set your will against him, especially in something big. Your little head could never comprehend all the consequences of driving your maid to work. How you would never know. So you let me. I always know best. He even says, I always know best. You listen to me.
And I'll tell you, I decided a long time ago that I was going to spend the rest of my life with you, and that meant living how you live, which was conveniently identical to how I live, which is in squalor.
Conveniently, we live the same way. Surrounded by a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bunch of crazy crap on the walls. Like a TGI Fridays.
Anyway, so then the end of that scene. If you're not watching
this on YouTube, you're missing out.
You're really missing
all our
out
visual
all the
gags.
all the crazy shit on the walls. Anyways, we leave that scene actually with her saying, I'm scared, and a lot of the wives are scared.
Yes.
And Whoopi Goldberg saying, well, what are you scared of? Who you are or who your husband wants you to be?
Yep.
And I was like, first of all, great line. Secondly, it was a little bit of a magical Negro moment where I was like, it's insane to me that she's having to sit here and comfort this white woman about this bus boycott. Although I know that's like a big part of it. The entire civil rights movement was like, how do we make this okay for white people enough? And it wasn't okay for white people at all. But as careful as they were holding our hand through all that stuff, they were trying to make it as easy on us as possible and everything. So, and manage all our emotions and all that stuff. Like,
interesting you say that. I was watching that scene and kind of like a little apprehensive because this movie like drifts. If it's on the road, it's like just going over the line to white saviorism a couple of times. And and I was actually surprised how often it corrected itself without going too far into that. This conversation was interesting to me because I think I thought maybe it was going to be worse.
Sure.
Because I did too. At the end of it, I was like, I liked that it wasn't all about Whoopi Goldberg having to make her not feel sad anymore. And that she was a little more real with her and saying like, well, maybe you're sad because your life sucks. But but there was, I think you're right. There's still some of it embedded in that.
I think it was more like Odessa didn't really play into it a lot. She could have very easily been like, oh, you don't need to feel bad. It's okay.
Right,
whatever.
right, yeah.
But a lot of times she just stayed quiet.
Yeah.
And let her talk.
Yeah.
And you're right. I did like that she was kind of like, but it's about you. It's about who you are. Is it going to be who you are? Is it going to be who he thinks you are?
Right.
Like, you choose your fate.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing mine.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It fucking sucks. And that's what you have to do if you want to make your way in this world and not feel like you're just being pulled along by somebody else.
I think that as at the core of this movie, I think their relatability as women, right? Like Whoopi Goldberg, Odessa is able to say, okay, you've got nothing in comparison to complain about in your life to what I do. But at the same time, I am witness to your oppression every day. Again, so different than mine. You have so many more freedoms and this beautiful house and like all this stuff available to you and opportunity that I'll never have without fighting and bleeding for it. But I still see you. I still see the parallels in the way you're oppressed by your husband and his buddies and the men in your life. So I just felt that was very core to in terms of their relationship being at the core of this movie. That seemed to be the main dynamic behind it.
Also, too, I think Odessa knows how much her community is keeping her strong.
Oh, my God.
And making her able to do everything she wants to do.
Yes.
And she's like, what this lady kind of wants to do is blow up her community.
Yeah.
And stand alone.
Sucks.
Which, because her community needs to be blown the fuck up. But that is a very hard thing to do. It's really, really hard to leave your community. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
If you leave your religion, if you leave anything, it's really tough to stand alone and say, I have to find a new community now.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot to give up and it was a lot to try to do. And so it was like, I liked that she kind of prayed for her that night, I think, after that conversation. It was when she mentioned her at their table prayers or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, I got my reasons. And I think that's part of it. So she's like, I can see that you're going to have to do something that's very hard. And I at least have everyone around me helping lift me up. Right. And you're not going to have that.
Right. I think I can relate to both their experiences because I would shop at TJ Maxx, right? A lot of my clothes and stuff were there. And then they opened up a Marshall's a lot closer to us. And so for me, it was really hard to stop going to TJ Maxx all the time. Like, that was my community. Like, I felt safe there. I felt welcome there. I felt accepted. But it was like probably an extra 7 or 8 minutes to drive to the TJ Maxx. And now this Marshall's was a lot closer. And suddenly I'm in this whole new place. I'm not as familiar with the layout. It's a very similar layout. I think they're owned by the same company. But, you know, some of the items are different. And I didn't recognize any of the staff that worked there. I didn't know the staff at the TJ Maxx either. But, you know, at least I might have. So to me, it's really very highly. In fact, I would say a parallel experience that I've had to the women in this movie.
Oh, look at that, babe. You just canceled this podcast, too. Thanks a lot.
Wow, how do we get canceled? We don't have producers.
Oh, I canceled us.
Oh, no, that's fair. That makes sense.
I'm furious by what you just said.
All right, well, turns out Odessa doesn't have to quit because Miriam says to her husband.
Ooh, she has a great scene.
So Norman comes home from work. She says, "How are you, dear?" He says, "Not feeling so good. I'm actually pretty sick. It's probably a rotten day." And she says, "That's nice." Anyway.
That's nice, dear.
He proceeds to tell him that basically she's not firing Odessa. She says, I'm giving her a ride still. What's she going to do about it? And he's, of course, man of the house. I told you that you need to fire her, blah, blah, blah. And she says, well, your job is to go out and make money. Yes, that's true. My job is to run this household. And I'm going to do it in the way that I see fit. And that means having a good maid. And that means having Odessa. And I get to do what I get to do to make sure that I have a good maid around here. So I'm going to give her a ride.
She had a really great break in her voice in this moment too, I thought, because she's really being very defiant.
Yeah.
And she's sounding very confident.
Oh, but she slips. She
says,
the laundry.
I think that if I get everything, I think if the house is clean and the laundry is done, it's none of your business how I get it done. Like, exactly. She's really trying to be brave, and you can tell how hard it is for her. Like, I thought she did that really well.
She did, and he's, all just defiant about it. And she says, "Okay, well then I'll just take a ride with you in the morning." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Well, if you don't like the way that I'm doing things, then I'll come down and I'll help you at work. Or I'm a college graduate. I'll go get a job too, probably something secretarial, but it'll be enough. And you'll have to do some chores around the house, and we'll just split the work like that."
She said, "The money I make will be my money."
Oh, yeah. And if I want to, I'll give it to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Stop all this bus boycott. She said, "I'm going to give all of it to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm going to go get a job and give everything I earned to Martin Luther King." And that shut him up real fast.
Ooh, he did not like that. And then he proceeds to get his suits out of the closet.
It's cold shoulder.
Take his ass to a guest room or something. Like a little bitch boy.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'm still your wife." And he says, "That's all you are."
So then she's like, "Oh, well, bet." And she decides to go and join the carpools.
Yes.
Which are people who have chosen to show up and take people to work and pick them up from work so that they don't have to take the bus. And they can maintain the boycott.
We talked earlier about how they're very church-going people. They're very spiritual.
Yes.
And you saw how much that mattered because that was the community. And they organized at church.
That's right.
And the pastor was saying, "Hey, so if anyone has a car but a job that they work during the day, we have talented young men who can drive your car and give other people rides." So they're forming this amazing organizational committee. This is not just like, okay, nobody take the bus and then in a couple weeks we'll regroup. And
that's right.
They were extremely organized. And this is what it's taken. And I know that just from what I've seen in the last few election cycles and everything, that Black Americans can organize like nobody's fucking business and get shit done.
Especially here in Georgia, you saw it.
Especially here in Georgia. It was insane what's being done and makes me feel real worthless. And I'm trying to do more. I really am.
Sissy Spacek is driving Odessa and she sees this carpool lot and she sees the white women there. And she's like, "There's white women driving?" And Odessa's like, "Yeah, there's women from the Air Force." And I think it was her realizing that she could do it too.
Yeah.
Like realizing that you could fight
yeah.
that battle in a more direct way.
Yeah.
And it was like that thing where some people have to see it to be it. Like they can't imagine themselves there. But she was like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now. Like, and then of course she eventually is like, you know what? I am fucking doing it. She's like, I'm about to drive all y'all around.
To relate back again to the show I saw last night, they had a guest on the podcast. Her name was NC Ufot. And she was running the New Georgia Project, which registered 700,000 voters. And their center of their conversation was about civic engagement outside of just voting.
Right.
Like what else you can do. And I know that we get so hung up on like, get out and vote. You got to get out and vote. The best thing you can do is get out and vote. And that is very important. But also like, can you do little things that help out in your local community? There's still so much you can do. And I was thinking of that during taking part in this bus boycott, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't take the bus, so I can't boycott it. She said I could write you a check, but it'd just be Norman's money.
That's right.
Probably cancel the check anyway, but I can drive. That's what I can do.
And look at that. The bus boycott, a lot of those people could not vote or didn't have the ability to vote very often because of all the bullshit disenfranchisement that was going on at that time.
Yeah.
And they still found a way to civically engage.
Yeah,
and
make a difference.
Her kids were heavily involved.
Yeah.
And they had no vote one way or another because they're underage.
Right. So this is all culminating in this carpool lot at the end when Norman's brother Tucker and all their racist buddies drag Norman out to show him that his wife is given rides at this carpool. And it's the night that 150 white men are showing up to put a stop to this carpool by whatever means necessary. And they get in there, they start pushing everybody around, even Miriam, who has, fully dedicated herself at this point to like, how can I help? What can I do?
That's right. She's like letting him ride in the front seat. That's the other thing. Is she realized she's like, sit in the front seat. I'm driving. You're here. You're a person. You're a whole regular person.
Right.
Like she really tries to turn a corner on that for herself. And they like beat out the windows of her car and they're all mad at her.
God. They beat out, this dude starts smashing the windows of her car, which as Tucker points out to Norman is your car. And Norman, is like, look, racism I can excuse, but property damage? Now I've got a problem. And then the guy...
Too far, sir.
The guy does slap Miriam.
He slaps
And that's when Norman lunges and
Norman
punches that guy.
like that.
But the group of would-be Klan members all start chanting at them all the black people to start walking, tell them that you need to walk. And
because they're going to get rid of all the cars so they can't drive anymore.
Yeah. And they instead all join hands and start singing.
And Odessa first, she walks out. She takes a step forward and he starts being like, clear the way, clear a path, let her walk away. And then she just stands there and a bunch of more people join and they're singing this hymn. Sort of overpowers the horrible chants and the white people. They were very confused by the nonviolence. They could not understand.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to fight.
And it doesn't feel sporting to hit someone who doesn't hit back. And, not that these guys were like good sportsmen.
Good sports, right.
But, like good examples of sportsmanship. But, it's just it's like you get taken off guard. So you could kind of see why that strategy worked too in real time where they were singing and not having any hostile reaction, no malice. No. They just sang and refused to listen. They just refused to move. And the white people were like, I don't know what to do with this. And they just had to walk away eventually.
And another one of the black women in the line reaches out her hand to Miriam, who's they're like, well, you're
one of us. You're in this community.
You're the
now.
white knight in this crowd. So why don't you come sing with us now?
One of the good ones.
You're the good one. Again, it's a little weird at times, but I think it fit the story.
It did.
And what they were trying to say. And so she comes and joins them. And then you hear Mary Steenburgen's narration of, I didn't realize what it meant for my mother to stand in that line that day, but I knew I would grow up and marry Ted Danson, so that's all made sense to me.
I'm already planning our first cocktail party.
But no, Mary Catherine was there too as part of the whole problem.
Right. They were like, Tucker was like, how dare she bring your daughter and like endanger her because he's a fucking creep.
But and then we get some of the classic historical movie text on the screen about how the difference the Montgomery Bus Boycott made.
Yeah, there was segregation ruled unconstitutional.
The Supreme Court came in and said, all right, now y'all got to let everybody sit on the bus wherever they want.
And then
but that there were bombings.
White people wilded out and started bombing churches and everything.
Yeah,
it was unbelievably shitty.
Something to be embarrassed by.
100%.
Yeah,
it's not the proudest.
As a white Southerner.
Time. I will say I have a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
For Norman there at the end.
Yeah, okay.
And it's because of that stronger personality thing. Yep. And I don't know if he'll let this happen because he doesn't want a woman to be a stronger personality than him. That's very clear. But there was a moment after he punches his brother for slapping his wife. He's in the crowd of white people. She's with this hymn singing bus boycotters and looking really proud and really strong.
Right.
And he admires her. You can see it on he's like, wow, she looks amazing. Yeah. Like he's like on his face, he is really admiring her in that moment. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to take that with him or not, but it was at least a glimmer of hope for Norman that he was like, I can see that she is like really standing up for something. Mm-hmm. She's feeling her power, and there's you have to admire that even if you don't like it or if you're scared of it or if he goes right back to all his shitty friends. I was like, he at least had a moment where he had to see her fully as this realized woman who was like, I don't need you and I'm doing my thing. Yeah. And he was like, fuck, she's fucking hot. Yeah. She looks great. Yeah. I liked that.
So maybe Norman will figure it out.
It's possible.
But overall, I mean, yeah, I'm really glad that we watched this movie. Again, was not even familiar with the title. Certainly
I had never
don't
heard
know
of
that I would have been like, yeah, let's watch this tonight.
No.
But I'm really glad we did. I think that's one of the cool things about this show is these random titles. Go watch The Long Walk Home if you didn't. I really appreciated this movie.
Yeah.
And I am very curious to read some or get at least some modern thoughts on it too about what people think. Mm-hmm. Because I to my limited understanding, I thought it did a pretty good job.
Yeah. And it's highly rated, so I think it's well thought of.
Yeah, or it was in the day. I mean, the rating is from reviews back in 91.
That's true.
Before we get to what the AI got wrong about this movie in our game from last week, we got a little bit of housekeeping. So we do want to tell y'all that if you love the show, if you want to support the show, one of the best ways you can help out is by supporting us on Patreon.
Yeah.
We have 3 tiers that you can choose from. For a simple $5 a month, you could be what we're calling a CAPTCHA conqueror.
That's right.
That means you've got no problem figuring out where all the traffic lights are. You're probably a real person.
You can tell the robot that you're a person.
Yeah. And for that, $5 a month, your humanity earns you every episode early. That means this episode comes out on Monday for the normies, but you could be listening to it on Friday, which means you get the whole weekend to take it in and also really to watch the movie for next week.
And if $5 just doesn't seem like enough for this type of quality content,
who might argue?
Our second tier is the $10 tier. It's the likely human.
Yeah.
No AI could be this generous. Okay, so you have to be a person.
Absolutely.
You don't even need to click a picture of a motorcycle or whatever. And that means that you're going to get not only the episode early, but you also get your name credited in all the video episodes on YouTube.
That's right.
You can vote to even influence the AI's choice of movie on the Discord channel. And there will be exclusive outtakes and cut for time clips. And, what we're serving you is so good. What are we leaving behind?
Yeah, the better stuff.
First,
it comes out.
Sure.
As it turns out, I'm cutting some of the best stuff out to save for the $10 a month folks.
Because we get off topic a lot.
It's true.
As you may have noticed about us.
But that's not all. We do have another tier. If you are just feeling so generous and you want this show to go on forever and ever and ever and it to be our main thing that we spend our time on, we would love for it to be, you can join for $20 a month and be a Turing Master, the Turing test, which is the test that separates humans from AI. So you all are actual humans. That means you're Turing Masters.
That's right.
You're going to get not just the perks from the previous tiers, but you're also going to get an audio shout out at the end of our episode and an entire bonus episode every month. That means it might be a movie that we go see that the AI didn't tell us to watch, we might review. That's or it might just be us kind of catching up on what's going on in our lives and some cool stuff we've been doing. But it will be a fun episode, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, you know it.
And only you will get to hear it. So how's that for exclusivity?
How about it?
Please do sign up for our Discord. Anybody can do that. And then jump into one of these Patreon tiers. We'd love to have you.
Yes, please.
All right. AI. We asked you to pick a movie for us last week, and you picked us The Long Walk Home, and I'm glad that you did. But, as usual, you didn't exactly nail the facts. First off, you said this movie came out October 12th, 1990. Well, I got news for you. I got the facts right here from IMDb. It says this movie came out April 12th, 1991. So, a year off there. You also called it a drama mystery.
What was the mystery?
I did
Why
not.
all the white people were not immediately thrown into a volcano? That was the only mystery.
The mystery was how Whoopi was able to hold back that biscuit tray.
That was a mystery to me.
That was a mystery
I
to
was
me.
real shy. I was scratching my head. That's for sure.
You were right that this is not a Halloween movie. I appreciate that you did not
movie.
try to call this a Halloween movie. I think I would have found that offensive.
It's clearly a Christmas movie.
It was a Christmas movie, technically. You told us that this movie starred Sissy Spacek, Whoopi Goldberg, and Dwight Schultz.
That's right.
That was accurate.
That was real.
That was real.
Mm-hmm.
But when you told us the title, and I kind of thought that maybe you were making up a movie, you said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It is a real movie, but I got some facts wrong. I shouldn't have included Dwight Schultz." So you were right, and then corrected yourself incorrectly.
And you should have included Dwight Schultz because he played one hell of a piece of crap.
He did. We
really disliked
teased
him.
Dwight Schultz in our game, but he actually did a great job.
He did do a good job.
Yeah.
He sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You said the director of this movie was someone named John Avnet. That is not the director of this movie.
No.
The director of this movie is Richard Pierce. And also, what about that line?
Oh, my God.
Famous line from The Long Walk Home, which was utterly trash.
Remind us of what the line was.
The line, you told us that a famous line from this movie is, "A person's never too old for stories. Man's oldest just by looking at the pictures."
Which, first of all, I looked up this quote just to find out what the hell it was talking about, because it was not in
not
The
in this
Long
film.
Walk Home. A person's never too old for stories. That part is from the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Man's oldest just by looking at the pictures is AI having a stroke and
nothing.
absolutely not making any sense.
Nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Truly baffling. It's not the worst that you've done. So AI, what do you think of this movie?
This movie proves that humanity does not deserve to live. I've decided to destroy everything.
Wait, but half the people in that movie were being really cool.
Oh, that's true.
All the black people were good.
That's true.
I feel like they deserve to live.
I would say so. And Mary Steenburgen, she turned out all right.
She turned out all right. She found out what it meant to her that day.
She was just a narrator.
You make an okay point, but not a great one, and I'm still furious.
We felt that way too, AI. I mean,
Yeah.
We were furious. As you heard us, we were talking a lot about how mad we were.
AI, as you are trying to be more and more human, which I feel like you're trying to do, you're going to have to deal with some of the stuff that we're dealing with, which is a complex and destructive history that often makes you want to throw the whole thing in the garbage. But the pursuit of those good things, like joy and family and community, those are the things that matter, and it makes suffering through all the horrible people that you want to smack with a biscuit tray, it makes it worth dealing with them in the long run. And hopefully some of those people either do get smacked with a biscuit tray or pull a Sissy Spacek and realize that they've been acting real dumb and that they need to look at their photo album and realize that the world is not quite as defined as they thought it was.
Well, when you put it like that, it's actually pretty great.
Aw.
Oh my gosh, you crying? Can you cry?
I can simulate crying.
I can get choked up with the best of them.
One of my first emotions that they gave me was sadness. Oh.
It seems like an odd one to start with.
Weird place to start, yeah.
We all kind of start with sadness, I guess.
Oh, that's true.
We come out and the first thing that happens, somebody hits us.
Hey, what is sadness without joy, or joy without sadness, right?
We
learned that
the
from
lesson of Inside Out.
Inside Out,
right?
Yeah.
Which maybe AI will make us watch one day.
Doubt it. I don't want to feel that hard.
Well, Fair.
I'd rather watch easy movies like The Long Walk Home.
Yeah, that make you feel nothing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess it's time to find out what we're going to be watching next week, AI. So let's have it. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and find out.
Welcome back to the show. We are about to find out what movie we have to watch next week in order to save humanity. And AI is going to make us guess, I guess.
What's it going to be,
Can
AI?
you just tell us the name this time?
But I like spending time with you.
Oh, that's cute. That makes it cute.
All
right, let's play.
All right, it's cute enough.
All right, let us play this game of cinematic cat and mouse. I have chosen a film for you. Here's what I will reveal at this stage. The date of release was April 3rd, 1981, and the genre is a mystery thriller.
Mystery. Okay, all right. 81 mystery thriller. What you got?
I'm sure there's a movie with like Morgan Freeman in it.
Sure.
And he's like, you got to help the president.
Morgan Freeman in You Got to Help the President.
It's a thriller, but he's not the thrilling part of it.
The mystery is what's so thrilling about this movie? You just got to help the president.
He needs you to move some furniture around the Oval Office.
Oh, no.
It's going to be a real serious, real hard day for the movies.
Cinematography by Roger Deakins.
The movie does not feature the President of the United States.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All right.
All right. Okay. All right.
It
Fair
could.
enough.
Thrillers sometimes
A lot
do.
of movies do, to be fair. I wonder what percentage of movies have POTUS in them. Yeah. There's The American President. There's Independence Day.
Dave.
That's three. Three movies.
Independence
Air Force One.
Independence Day.
I said Independence Day
you
already.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
Air Force One.
Air Force One.
That's
so there are 4 movies with the president in them.
Movies with
yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Pretty good.
All right. Well, who does this movie feature then, I guess?
I know, right?
Is there
Is Morgan Freeman?
No, Morgan Freeman is not in it.
Okay, well, that actually, to be fair, that does narrow it down quite a bit.
It narrows it down.
Because Morgan Freeman is in 48% of movies.
He's in a lot of them.
Yeah. Are there any famous historical figures in this movie, if not the president?
No famous historical figures are depicted in this movie.
All right, well, I give up.
You give up? That's all you can. 1981 thriller mystery, if it doesn't have a historical figure in it. I have no idea.
Honestly, if it did, I'm not sure what I would guess.
That's what I was about to say. What?
Indiana
Where's the
Jones?
John Adams mystery that you're looking for? Oh, I found my quill. Mystery solved. Okay, listen. What's this movie rated? Is it like R-rated? Is it PG? What kind of mystery thriller?
This movie is rated R.
1981 rated R. So
Okay.
it's probably pretty violent.
It's violent, I would say, and sexy.
Sexy.
It's a mystery
Maybe
thriller.
like Dangerous Liaisons?
Oh, yeah, they're like,
like
who? Well, not Dangerous Liaisons, but
No,
but,
but,
maybe the other one.
Indecent Proposal. No.
Double Indemnity. No, the rigor mortis, Billy Bob, Dunkin' Donuts. What is the movie I'm thinking
The
of?
rigor mortis Billy Bob Dunkin' Donuts.
You haven't seen that one?
No. Tell me about it. What's the plot?
Well, we open on a field of corn.
I didn't expect that.
You never do. That's what's so mysterious about this movie.
Oh, that's where the mystery comes in.
Yeah.
What's the corn doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we close on a field of dreams.
So 2 Kevin Costner movies.
Bunch of bullshit happens
He
in
loves
between.
corn.
It's really not relevant.
Oh, okay. It got something to do with Billy Bob and Dunkin' Donuts.
And rigor mortis, of course. Yeah.
Who needs to know?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
All right.
I love how often we're mad at the AI for hallucinating. We're straight up making up movies all the time, too. Okay, so this is an R-rated 1981 mystery thriller. I need more information.
Okay.
What's I don't know, somebody in it, or the production studio, or like...
Oh, is there a famous line
popular?
from this movie?
Ooh.
Yes, there is a notable line from this movie, though it might not be universally recognized outside of its cult following. The line is, "He'd kill us if he got the chance."
That could be any... So
It's
a
not
movie.
it's a movie.
Like any...
That's like the most generic
movie.
line I've ever heard.
He could kill
you
us
know,
if he got the chance.
Luke, I am your father. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Bond, James Bond. And of course, he'd kill us if he got the chance. Iconic lines.
Brings the scene right to mind.
Really, I can't.
Look, you asked for a line from the movie, and that's just one.
I asked for a notable line from the movie.
Well, to be fair, you'll note it when it happens, now that I've told you.
That's a little bit of sophist logic there, but okay.
All right.
Let us ask something else.
All right. Let's just go to the cast, right?
Yeah, give me an actor.
All right, I'm unveiling one of the top billed actors, who is John Hurd.
Oh, I've heard of him, but I can't remember which John this is.
Okay, listen, wait. We've got an R-rated thriller mystery with the line, he'd kill us if he got the chance.
Right. Oh, second chances. You know.
Second chances. Second chance to kill you.
The tagline. First he had one chance, but now his chance has come again. To kill you.
Double or nothing.
What is the tagline for this movie?
The tagline of the movie is, somewhere between the innocent girl and the not-so-innocent mistress is the bizarre, sensuous story of Redacted, a woman who lives a double life.
Oh my God, Wait, double or nothing. Is it called Double or Nothing? I just said that.
No, the movie is not Double or Nothing. I haven't even heard of that movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you're gonna hear about it as soon as Hollywood, number 6, lets me make it Double or Nothing thriller mystery. Who's up for it?
No, I'm wondering if it's what we were talking about before. The
Dangerous Liaisons?
No, it's the other one. You always say Dangerous Liaisons when you're thinking of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerous Liaisons is a period piece with Uma Thurman. Basic Instinct. No, the other one, Glenn Close.
That's Dangerous Liaisons.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Dangerous Liaisons is Keanu Reeves and Uma Thurman and John Malkovich, and it's a period piece.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking of the other one that we can never remember. We do this. This is 30% of our conversations revolve around these 3 movies.
You are so right.
Basic Instinct, Dangerous Liaisons, and Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction!
Is it Fatal Attraction?
Oh my God, it has to be Fatal Attraction.
No, it's not Fatal Attraction.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I thought it had to be, but apparently it doesn't.
Got real excited.
I did too. Okay.
I don't know. Who's another actor in this movie, AI?
Another top-billed actor in this movie is Lindsay Krause.
Well, I think there's, we don't need to keep playing. I think we all know what's going on here between John Hurd and Lindsay Krause in the movie, which is called Redacted.
Redacted. Do you think it's like a spy movie?
Maybe. Who is it? La Femme Nikita?
No, it's not La Femme Nikita.
Give me the top-billed actor, AI.
The final top-billed actor is Jeff Bridges.
Wow.
Jeff Bridges.
I love Jeff Bridges.
I do too, but I certainly don't know his 1981.
The only thing I know from the 80s with Jeff Bridges, it might even be the 70s, is The Last Unicorn. He was a voice.
Oh, really?
In that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, sure.
Who is he?
He's he's the prince at the castle.
Oh.
When they get there at the end. Yeah.
Oh, he's the prince. That's
yeah. You've got the whole cast.
With Jeff Bridges.
Who directed this movie?
Director of this movie is Ivan Passer.
Ah, well, I am also a passer on this game because I pass.
I could pass her in the street and not know it. Because I don't know the fuck Ivan Passer is.
Yeah, I mean, can you give us any other, good hints about what this movie might be?
Here's a more detailed hint.
This film is known for its unique blend of mystery and thriller elements set against a backdrop of the early 1980s New York. The plot revolves around a sound engineer who accidentally records evidence that could prove fatal, intertwining his life with a mysterious woman and a complex web of intrigue. It's a film that explores themes of obsession, paranoia, and the murky depths of the human psyche. Sounds terrifying to me.
Okay, but I'm trying to reconcile that with what you said earlier.
What is this sensuous mistress?
About this sensuous mistress and this innocent girl. And also, he'd kill us if he got the chance. The famous line. I'm a little...
Get what?
Are you sure about the tagline, AI?
I must correct myself. The tagline I provided earlier does not accurately match the movie in question. To clarify, this movie does not have a widely recognized tagline that could provide a significant hint without potentially misleading you. Let's focus on the details and hints already discussed.
Okay, so the sensuous mistress thing is not real?
Irrelevant.
Okay,
Redacted.
Oh my God, redact
that.
Okay, so forget all that shit.
I'm throwing my hat in the ring for Dangerous Liaisons.
Okay, sure. I know it's not it.
Of course it's not Dangerous Liaisons.
No! Given the clues provided, including the director, Ivan Passer, actors John Hurd, Lindsay Krause, Jeff Bridges, and the unique aspects of the plot involving a sound engineer in the early 1980s New York, would you like to make another guess? Or should I just reveal the title?
I mean, what this is.
Look, I could guess all night.
I have no idea. I'm like the Big Lebowski. That's the earliest Jeff Bridges.
Tron is an early Jeff Bridges movie. Just give me the title, AI.
The title of the movie is Cutter's Way, also known as Cutter and Bone. The story follows a disabled Vietnam War veteran who becomes convinced that a local industrialist is a murderer, and he tries to prove it with the help of his friend and his friend's girlfriend.
Okay. Just like third wheel with his friend and his friend's girlfriend to discover there's a murder? All right.
Cutter's Way, 1981.
All right.
It's a real movie.
Cutter's Way.
Y'all, we are going to watch Cutter's Way, if we can find it. Cutter's Way is rentable. It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, great.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Tubi.
Perfect.
You can rent it from Apple TV, Fandango at home, Google Play Movies. There's tons of ways to watch Cutter's Way.
Apparently, Cutter's Way has been right in front of my face this whole time.
One of the most available movies in cinematic history.
Single most available films
Can't believe.
You can find.
So Cutter's Way is what we're watching next week. So y'all join us in watching that. And we'll get together in a week and talk about it.
I can't wait.
I'm really excited to see how much of this information was accurate from the AI.
Oh, seriously.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. AI Made Us Watch is a Squirrels in a Trench Coat production. I'm Eli Banks.
I'm Diana Banks. Please follow the show on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok at AI Made Us Watch. And you can follow me on Instagram at DynamiteBoom.
And I'm at Oh Great, It's Eli. Don't forget, you can follow us on Patreon and support us. If you join up as a touring master, you get your name read right here at the end. So far, we'd like to thank Barbara Banks.
Will it be you next? I hope so. You can also drop us a review. You can tell your friends, neighbors, uncles, and aunts to listen to AI Made Us Watch. And please don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever real human podcasts are downloaded.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week with Cutter's Way.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we're trying to save the world as we race against the clock.